What's going on, Jerome's? So we talked about the Vikings potentially finding their future franchise quarterback in this quarterback bonanza that is the 2024 NFL Draft. And J.J. McCarthy coming out of Michigan, fully understand. Stats aren't what some of the other quarterbacks are, but all the kid does is win, and you're betting on traits. It's a lot like Daniil Hunter having 4.5 career sacks at LSU. You know, what they asked him to do wasn't necessarily going to translate into statistical production. And with McCarthy, he's in a run-first offense. It sort of is what it is, but the whole JJ to JJ connection for the Vikings could be dynamite. And reportedly, the Vikings, the new brain trust on the offensive side of the ball, head coach Kevin O'Connell, as well as new QB coach Josh, not Luke McCown, reportedly met with McCarthy at the Combine. This is Gessling, Star Tribune, go. Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy has had lots of formal interviews at the Combine about the front half of the first round. He met with Kevin O'Connell and Josh McCown in his formal interview with the Vikings. McCarthy, quote, Coach O'Connell led the whole thing. Everything they talked about wanting out of a quarterback aligns with what I want. Just being able to get on the board with them, go through their plays, it was special. So getting a little bit in depth as opposed to, are you a cat person or a dog person? But actually going through and diagramming some plays. I mean, that's really where it is at. Or I always imagine like some of these interviews, even though they're quick, usually like 15 minutes, are like the Gruden quarterback camps from back in the day. Good times, man. Where it's like, So like Andrew Luck going through all these complex West Coast offensive schemes and concepts because he played with Harbaugh at Stanford, and they got Brandon Whedon coming from an air raid scheme with Gundy at Oklahoma State. This play is called 4. It's good, man. But yeah, ESPN talk about J.J. McCarthy, and they address that McCarthy doesn't have the big-time stats that some of the other quarterbacks do. Michigan's quarterback J.J. McCarthy knows the other top quarterbacks this year draft are throwing more passes. I just said that. Blah, blah, blah. But McCarthy said he will take the one statistic he thinks tips the scale towards him. Quote, stats for me aren't really the big thing, and all I really cared about was being the best teammate I could be and being the best quarterback I could possibly be, McCarthy said on Friday at the NFL Combine. And the only stat I cared about was W's, and we did pretty good in that category. Of course, undefeated, national title, blah, 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 all that stuff. And he has a sizable ability combination teams are looking for. McCarthy rushed for a combined 508 yards in his 2 years as a starter with 8 rushing touchdowns. McCarthy also led the Big Ten last season with a 72.3% completion rate and threw just 4 interceptions. And I'm trying not to pick on Bo Nix. I'm trying not to pick on Hendon Hooker from last year, but they were both in offenses at Oregon and Tennessee, respectively, that scheme open, easy layup throws, whether it be quick screens, whether it be short throws, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands, etc. But Michigan, I mean, yeah, they had some of the college concepts, but Michigan was basically a pro-style offense, and McCarthy was operating at a high level there, and continues here. Asked to give a scouting report on himself, McCarthy said Friday, tough, gritty, a guy who only cares about winning at the end of the day, loves the game of football with a burning passion, loves his teammates, pretty much everything you want in a starting quarterback. So this dude's a friggin' Boy Scout. But I'm certainly okay with that. And yeah, McCarthy's stats, they're not going to blow you away, but Michigan making the playoff last year, winning the national title in 2023, I mean, he was fantastic when asked to be great. And everyone poo-poos on McCarthy throwing only 18 passes in the national title game against Washington and having 0 touchdowns, but he didn't need to do much. Basically, Michigan could have won that game by not throwing a single pass. And McCarthy did have some big-time throws in that game, sure, but they could have just ran the ball against Washington, and it would have been done with the way that defense is playing against Penix and company. And then people forget what McCarthy did against Alabama, which is a pretty damn good defense with Turner and Arnold, etc. So 3 tutties, going 17 to 27, a 91.9 QBR out of 100. It's pretty damn good. Also, some big-time clutch throws down the stretch of that game as well. It's almost exactly like Penix. Like, people forget what he did in the national. People harp on what he did in the national title game, but they forget what Penix did in the semis against Texas. But McCarthy, big time arm, good accuracy as well. He's got that clutch gene. When asked to make big time throws, he made them. And Michigan stands tall in the pocket, makes plays off schedule. Mobility is a plus. Now, the major traits that Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi have talked about: accuracy, mobility. Accuracy, mobility. McCarthy's got both those. Also, he just turned 21, so age is a factor here. And you look at the quarterbacks where Williams, May, McCarthy, all true juniors, so young coming out, where as opposed to you have Daniels, Nix, and Penix, a little bit older prospects there. So could this make sense? Could this make sense for the Vikings to secure J.J. McCarthy as a quarterback of the future, whether Kirk Cousins is there or not? I mean, Cousins could sign a 1 or 2 year deal, and the Vikings could still either stick and pick and take McCarthy at 11, or they could maneuver and get up there and go get him. Where I think it's about even money right now if McCarthy goes top 10. I don't think that he goes top 5. I think that the sweet spot would be if Atlanta doesn't have a quarterback in place, whether it's Fields or it's Cousins. I think Atlanta at 8 does make a ton of sense for McCarthy, being able to grow and show with those weapons. So it could be a spot, too, where, say, Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta, and Atlanta all of a sudden is out of the quarterback market short term. So could the Vikings move up to 8 and go get him in that spot? It's possible, man. Or could a team like the Broncos or the Raiders maneuver and try and get up and go get him? I think that's why, even if the Vikings are confident that he could get to 11, I think moving up and giving up a little something just to make sure you box out the Broncos and the Raiders could make some sense there. But the more I think about it, the more I do really like this quarterback class, and I think May would be great in purple. Jaden Daniels would be great. Williams is probably going 1, so it's whatever there. And McCarthy, for me, if the Vikings do take a early first-round quarterback, so either 11 or higher, it would be May, Daniels, or McCarthy. Penix, I still have so many questions about Penix's health, but, I mean, he was dropping some piss missiles in the hallway there. But I think that he would be second round, back end of the first round if he got back in there, too. Rattler, day 2. Nix, day 2. Pratt, day 2 as well. I mean, could you say that Michael Pratt is like a diet version of McCarthy and May, with the big frame, big arm, a little bit of mobility, actually a lot of bit of mobility, possibly, sure. I mean, Jordan Travis coming off the medicals, who knows? But I do think that there's a lot to like about J.J. McCarthy, and if the Vikings want the hard reset at quarterback, I think McCarthy would be the guy, and whether he has to start right away or he gets to sit for a year behind Kirk, either way, the Vikings could have their quarterback of the future, and you're betting on traits, you're betting on tools, and I think that McCarthy has a great head on his shoulders. I think that he is going to expand more as a passer in the league as opposed to what he did in college. And I think that the Vikings would be a perfect spot for him with O'Connell, with McCown, with JJ and Addison and Hockenson when he gets healthy, with Darisaw, etc. So I'm pretty bullish. Pretty excited what's going to go down, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Vikings reportedly meet, well, not reportedly. They do meet with Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. You know what to do. Skol, production value.